Well, the next command is called sweep. It's actually the simulation of sweep. Do you remember what it was? Yes, well, it had a path and a profile, and the profile was continued in the direction of that path. So at first, let's draw the path. The path can be both closed and open. It can be one piece or several pieces. So for example, I designed these two arcs, right? But for the profile, you see, if you remember in modeling, actually a plane was given to us, and we would draw our actually profile in there. But there's nothing like this here, and in order to have a plane like that, right, we need to use this dot. So we pick it up and we can place it any part of this actually space we want. Let's just remember, in sweep we can just have one profile, therefore we just need one of these points or dots. But placing this point on the line has got something to be careful about. You need to actually be careful about these icons here. What was it? What was the first one? Draw on face, right? Draw on face recognizes the line when you place the point, it's exactly placed on the line, and it gives you a sheet plane, as you see. But if you actually go for the second option, it's apparently on the actually line. It's not real. You see, it actually doesn't do it. You see that? Now you can totally understand it. You think it's on the line. Even, actually, if you set the ground as the work plane, right, and you pick the point and do it with this option, again, it apparently, or it seems like it's recognizing the line. But when I move the line, I find out that it was not real, was it? No, there's no connection between the points and the line, and they don't work with the line. Of course, it's clear through the appearance of that line that they're not real. See, the ones that are not real are actually bigger, but the real ones are smaller. So if you use the big points, they will not work. But if you use the small ones, we will get a plane, as you see, that we will be able to work with. So let's just remember that we need to use draw on face to place the points, right? So let me undo. And I just need one of these points, just this one right here. Now it's time I set the point. How did I tell you that I could do it? That's right, all I gotta do is to select them. So if I do, it's set. So just select, that's it. Now I can draw my profile. Just remember, the profile you're drawing for sweep must definitely be closed, right? We must have a closed profile. Let me draw one open to see how it gives us an error. For example, something like this. See that? If I draw something like this, let's see what will happen. I select the path too. You see that an open profile cannot be swept along a multi-segment path. So we must definitely close this, right? It must be a closed profile. So for example, I'll draw something like this. So that's it, that's my form. I select it. I also select this one and then click on create. Also, be careful that in sweep, you can also have actually profiles inside each other, like this form here. Now, if I select these two and then the path, and then click on create, you see, this is how it looks like. So let me repeat something, a review, that in sweep, we can have one path, one closed sorry, we can have one path and one closed profile. Now let's talk about edits. For example, if you select this line, the body of the soup, what is it actually a part of? This is a part of the path, that's right. So when you select it and then click on edit profile, you will be able to edit the path, as you see. You can, for example, move it right here. You can change the curve and then click on finish. So if I select the body and then click on edit profile, it's actually the path. If, right, listen to me, if you select the edges of the end and the beginning, you will be able to edit the profile. And, right, if you edit the surface of the end and the beginning and then click on edit profile, it will actually ask you to inform it whether you want to edit the path or the profile. So when you click on the surface, the beginning and the end, it gives you option, right? It gives you an option whether you want to edit the profile or the path. And of course, if you want to move this, generally either you're gonna have to open a box and of course filter, then you will be able to move it completely, or you can hold your mouth on the surface anywhere, the body, and then tap, which seems an easier option. Then you can copy it, move it, or of course delete it, as I said. Now, you might say that I want to have multiple profiles. I don't want to have one. I just, for example, want to have 5, right? So when you want to have 5, for example, or several profiles, what command are you entering to? Yes, swept blend. It's actually the simulation of swept blend. Well, in sweep, I told you that we could have a path and a profile, right? And that one profile must be closed. But about swept blend, this is what we're going to talk about. So let's go back to modeling. The main condition of path, what was it in swept blend, in modeling place? Yes, if you remember, the path of the swept blend must be only one piece, one line, or one arc, or an spline, right? Which we always escaped from spline because it's not actually geometrical and we might face an error. So this is the same thing for here. Therefore, our path in this part must have just one piece. Let me undo. I want to edit the same thing, right? Right here. So now we've got 2 pieces, as you see. So we can't use swept blend. We need to delete a piece of it like that. So either a piece of arc or just a piece of line. That's it. One of these 2. So I delete it and I go for the profile. In modeling, how many profiles could we model in swept blend? 2, that's right. One of them was the beginning, the other one was the end. Do you remember edit profile 1, edit profile 2, right? But here, you can have as many profiles as you want. How? You're going to have to place points, right? So as many profiles you need to actually place points with the same number. That's it. But the main condition is still here to either they all have to be either open or closed. So for example, now I want to have 3 or 4 profiles. I pick point. I actually obey the draw and face rule. Don't forget about that. So for example, 4 points like this. Now it's time I set them one by one and then draw the profiles. For example, I select this, the first one, it's set. Then, if you remember, we had something called viewer. We could use that. But since it did not work in Shortcut, we didn't use it too much. But if you like, you can use it. I don't tend to use it that much. So, for example, I draw a rectangle. Well, I already told you a point in these situations. I told you that the number of the sides in these forms better be the same. And for example, now I want to just draw rectangles. The second one, I select it, it's set. And for example, I draw it a bit higher. Well, it does not have to start from this point, it can start from here. You see that? Right. The third one, I select it, it's set. And for example, I draw it a bit higher and I rotate it a bit, as you see. And this one, again, I draw it like this, right? Now I select them all, or I select them one by one like this, or open a box and filter, and then I select line, and then click on create. You see that? You see what form we got? And as I said, the profiles can also be open. I mean, you can draw all of these with line too. Let's go for another example. Again, I'll set the ground as, the work plane. I'll pick an arc, I'll draw it like this. This time, for example, I want to have two profiles. So I'll pick point, draw and face, one here, one here. I'll select this to set it. And then I start designing. So 2 sides, 3 sides, 4 sides, for example. 4 somehow like stairs. Then I set the next one. And then I start designing. 1, I actually bring it down a bit. 2, 3, and 4, and then I'll close it. I can trim these two actually to fix them. So this is it. Right. Now I select this profile, this, and then I click on create. See that? So interesting, isn't it? And of course we can cover any of these using anything we want. So another example, which we already had in modeling as well. It's something like a ramp. Again, we need 2 points, the beginning and the end. I design a line here. I want to give you an example for open profiles. Now I delete this actually, as you see. Now if I select this, and this, and then click on create, this is how it will look like. You see that? Let's do it again. This, and this, and then create. So when you want to have such form, you cannot do that. So let's now design the profiles closed. Let's just close them. We want to come to a very, very important conclusion. Select, and create. You see that? So now let's come to a very, very important conclusion. Does it make any difference for you that there's a thickness? No, because you're just going to cover the top surface of it. So sometimes that you see open profiles don't give you what you have in your mind. I don't say it gives you an error, no. It doesn't give you what you have in your mind. You can just close your profiles and it will be the easier option. Well, based on usual, I said that when you want to select it, you can tap, select, copy, mirror, rotate, or anything you want. But the edit is exactly like sweep. I mean, if you select the body and then click on the edit, it gives you the path. If you select the edges, and then click on edit. It gives you the profile, and if you of course click on the body or the surface of the profiles, and then it gives you the profiles themselves. So for example, if I select the surface and then click on the edit profile, again it gives me the path. And this way you can easily edit both profiles and paths in Swept Blend. Let me tell you another point, and then let's say put an end for Swept Blend. Let's just say we have an arc. Well, I told you an arc as an example because it's more complicated. So, for example, I'll place 3 points. I'll select it and then design an arc. Again, I'm testing open profiles because I want to tell you a point. I'll select the second one. For example, this one like this. Let me move it this side, yeah. The third one, I'll select it. And again, an arc like this, right? Well, so now I select them all plus the path and then click on create, but I see an error. See that? Well, based on what I said, with open profiles, sometimes you will face an error. Actually, when you want to connect them together, sometimes you face some limitations. So I want to tell you this point. If you face such problem, don't select the path. See that? Just select these 3 and then click on create. You see that? I mean, that path basically just helped you place your profiles. If you see it's showing an error, don't select the path anymore. Just select the profiles. And much easier, you can model your form. Well, Swept Blend is finished. Please try this part out so that we can go for the practices we need to have, and then the rest of the lesson with other points.